Hey everybody, Steve Joy here. I just want to talk about different ways in the campaign world that you can allow your players to become gods. And the way that I've allowed it to happen in my games. So, one way is to allow the players to just become immortals once they hit a certain level. 30th level, 40th level, whatever. They just become so powerful that there's no point in them existing anymore in the prime material plane. So with this, which is from the Immortals set, there's two. That's basically what this is. At a certain point, the heroes just get so powerful that they can cast away their physical aspects and they become, if you like, adventurers on the immortal plane. So they can go to the astral plane, they can go to, all the different planes and travel around. They almost become like Q-like, if you like. And then there are more powerful creatures and monsters and so forth that you can actually battle. But you lose all your magic items. You don't really visit the Earth anymore. You work with PowerPoints now instead of you have PowerPoints. This is a very interesting approach to the game. I've never actually run an Immortals campaign. It never really held much interest for me. And I don't think that in any of my games we ever got that far, actually. And I don't play this anymore. So the other one is with first edition D&D with deities and demigods. Again, this book's in nice shape. Holy, that one's falling apart on me. It's pretty not nice. This one's actually in pretty good shape. Pages aren't yellow, they're all nice and white and crisp. Nice. Okay. So anyway, I can tell you how much I reference this book. But anyway, so one way that in my campaign worlds that I run. Now I have to decide before I start the campaign world sort of how it's going to happen. I don't need to do it right away because obviously if the characters get to that level, then I have to address it. But I sort of like to have a good idea before that happens. So one way that I've done it is that a hero has to become a champion of a god. And that is to draw the god's notice and favor. And once they've become a champion and they've worked long enough to be a champion, then that god may bestow on them some portion of their power. And when that happens, then the character becomes a demigod. And then they have to play for a while as a demigod. And then once they've done that, then the head god may bestow even more powers on them and bring them into full godhead status. And that's a really fun way of doing it. I mean, even a demigod can still have lots of adventures on the mortal plane. It's quite great. And then once, of course, a character becomes a god, it's basically, that's pretty fun. High five, retire the character to the it's time to retire the character, and the character becomes part of lore, and I've got a new god in my campaign world. That's one way. The other way that people have attained godhood in my games is by extorting a god for power. So this kind of sounds strange, but gods have things that they like, and for whatever reasons, they can end up with constraints on them. Perhaps a hero can work with another god who's an enemy of that god, gain protection from that god, or there's something on the prime material plane that god really likes and doesn't want destroyed or mistreated, something like that. So one thing that I've always done in my campaign worlds is that the gods themselves have sort of sworn an oath to never walk on the prime material plane, or at least never visit the realm of mortals in order to prevent a god war, but they will send demigods, and demigods are just very, very powerful heroes. So it's possible to extort a god if you can hold off demigods. If you could actually fight a demigod, then it's possible to extort a god. So what I like to do, what I did in a very long running campaign of mine, is I had something called a true name, and a god would have a true name, and these are the materials. These are the actual items that the god had as a mortal. And my premise was always that gods were initially mortal and became immortal. So they always left behind sort of baggage, if you will. And if you could assemble their equipment from the past, then you could become or you could extort power from them by having that, using magics or whatever method, because you would have an immense amount of control over the god by having assembled their true name. Now, of course, assembling a god's true name, that is hunting out and finding their items that they had while they were immortal, is incredibly difficult. One campaign that I ran, there was a mountain that actually had a throne in it and all these hidden chambers and stuff, and one of the god's true names item was in this mountain. And if you could climb the mountain and you could sit in the throne, then you would become a demigod. So as you can imagine, the mountain was incredibly perilous and dangerous, and a party had ventured up to it and managed to find part of a god's true name, quite a powerful god. It was an extremely fun campaign. That one ran for almost 2 years. It was really a lot of fun. So that's sort of what I mean by extorting for power. Now, another way is for the hero to start gaining followers. This one I love in particular, and I've used this one where if the hero is a cleric, makes a lot more sense. But even just any kind, even a fighter can start acquiring followers. But if they start getting, sort of rock star status and even beyond, and people beyond the borders know about them, and then people actually start praying and asking for the hero's help, the hero will slowly start actually hearing the whispers of people that follow him, and they'll start gaining more and more power from that. And I love doing that method. And the hero will start growing in quite a lot in power, but also drawing the ire of the other gods, because the other gods, if someone isn't worshiping them, then they're now worshiping somebody else. Of course, their power is getting less, and they become angry, and it causes lots of intrigue with the gods and stuff. So, and then the last way that heroes in my campaigns attain godhood is by defeating a god in combat, which sounds insane, but it is possible. If a hero gets very powerful, or a group of them, and they can actually defeat the god. Now, the god, again, is not allowed on the prime material plane, but they can defeat, say, a demigod, and they can get a portion of the power that way. They can, then, once they've defeated a few demigods, and they've gotten portions of power that way, they will actually grow in power enough, hit dice, hit points, all of that, special bonuses, everything, they start getting more and more powerful, they can actually go and actually fight gods and become gods themselves. Because by defeating a god, you take on that god's powers. However, even by getting a god to plead for mercy will grant you a portion of that god's power. Yeah, so that's it. Just a quick video on different ways that I've had characters become gods in my campaign worlds. It's a lot of fun, and it really brings a lot more life to being high level when you allow that sort of thing to happen, when you sort of create rules for that to happen. Because I've heard way too often people say, oh, well, that isn't possible. Well, yeah, it's D&D. Of course it's possible. Oh, the gods are too powerful. It's completely crazy. No, the gods, if you treat them just like more powerful heroes, it's not too crazy at all. It's actually pretty awesome. And then the heroes can start figuring out ways to get more power. They can't go up in level anymore. Or maybe they can, but it doesn't really mean much. But there's other ways to get power. And so it can open up a whole new campaign, a whole new way of playing. And I certainly enjoy that very much. And then once the players have gotten to that stage, they can actually become part of the lore. They can become part of the campaign world, which I think is a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it. That's just my thoughts on becoming a god. And thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Leave a thumbs up and leave a comment. Tell me ways that you allow your players to become gods. If you allow your players to become gods. If you think it's just completely ridiculous, let me know that too. I'm very interested in what you think about it. All right, thank you very much for watching, and till next time, take care.